around right now. I mean, 4 players still alive. ATHR, as you mentioned, rough start last week, looking to play catch up. And right now, it just feels like they're just slowly trying to find that footing into the game. They're not going full send onto the fights as well. So I think somehow making sure they survive as a 4 might be a priority for them.
Indeed. Whereas Rujin piling up the pressure up against those members of On Fire. It took heavy casualty initially, and right now, there's barely enough space for that member right behind the rock to really wiggle around, but he's trying to at least take a swing to challenge up to Rujin since he does have some slight high ground. There is enough backing coming in from the far end though, so Rujin cannot afford to over-peak as well, which is why they're just utilizing every single frag grenade that they do have in their back pocket for the meantime. 2-1-4 so far. Is just holding this entire area hostage because whoever wants to go for revives, that's where they will find those kills. And Rujin so far, massive. Just juking it out so that Mix can find the perfect angle to pop that member of On Fire.
Also like ping pong, how they're just communicating and moving off one another, always very, very fun as well. So Molly's in the smokes, just really flush him out in the open, and then immediate spray as well kind of helps. There we go. And you really got to give it to Ryujin. His movement has been incredible. See him move around the terrain. I think he's managed to just really outmaneuver Spyro there. And with his teammate coming around, I think Spyro sort of got caught off guard that there's more than one player around, which means that they're able to just tag team off one another. It's still
Overall, when I take from
into knock jar, steal away a kill or two would really boost your numbers into
on their first run of the week. JNK though, they've been soaking the pressure and the zone is also closing in. Godspeed looking to trade right back, but can he actually finish the job though? He gets a perfect line of sight, and Godspeed just needs to hunt out for GG, and it is going to be a very, very tough one to beat, but Yatka saves the day once more.
It's always great when you have a player like Yatka that's a little bit more aggressive and also always there for that trade. It's almost like breathing, right? How they're just really ready to just play off one another. I really would like to know how the calls are going to be. Now, despite everything, JNK had lost 2 players throughout the entirety of that fight, and now MSI hasn't been moved at all. I thought that, you know, Young Galacticos might have sort of moved into the area, but they haven't really won that fight yet against KE, which means that a little bit more space for MSI to take this fight against Athra. And for the rest of JNK is just about kind of being a little bit more patient, especially since there's only 1 player left.
Oh boy. It is a very tough position for the rest of KE as they try to surge their way straight into the crosshairs of YG. Yangon Galacticos is 1 point away from matching the tempo of 2-1-4 Pro. And the best part is they're still in the game and now in the top 5. MSI, full squad, trying to rock up against the rest of Atra. An instant response coming in from Boki to cover grounds, and they're hunting out for Master Ichi, but somehow from the off angles, it's Observation Esports stopping them on track.
Observation Esports today somehow managing to find a little bit more of that footing that they weren't able to really find yesterday, at least on Rondo. And now MSI, the team that's been bullying other teams in that particular corner, find themselves cornered. Athra definitely today a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more prepared to take this fight. They've been very great at utilizing that off angle as well as that terrain to make sure they remain alive. And as soon as maybe MSI make the wrong move, maybe it's a rotation, maybe it's the wrong timing on that reload, they move up and suddenly MSI is just pushed all the way back. And while all of this has happened, you can see the kill feed go a little bit more huge for OV, who's also going in for those backstabs. And the same goes for Master Ichi. Last player alive, but still managing to get a kill or two before anything happens.
Wow. I like the fact that he is so resilient and he finds another! Just by switching to the S12K, and he might just put them all to sleep, but YG says, your time is up. My goodness, that could have been something huge for Master Ichi. But still, valiant effort, top 5. And still, Yangon Galacticos dominates here in Rondo. They've done it in the past week. An average of 2 chicken dinners per day is what they have. And there we go, Observation Esports finally gets a good glimpse of the side of Atra, and there's barely enough space hiding right behind that Dacia.
Great stuff coming from OVK this time around, a little bit more later on those rotations. But there's a reason why the high ground was just used very, very well. Now, ATHR does finally get eliminated, and that's always going to be Yago Galacticos here. They're playing so far back. I would call it the Yago Galacticos classic by playing right at the edge of that blue zone and slowly moving forward. And that's a very high risk and very risky play because if you get gate kept out, it's going to be a big problem, the amount of damage you get from that blue and also the possibility of not being able to win those fights. But let's be for real right now. Yago Galacticos has just been really good at taking these fights. Spoke too soon though because OV has just been really keeping a close eye on this team. So one member of Yago Galacticos does get dropped down, but not before Romeo finds a pick of his own.
Yeah, like that, they really do get plenty of intel for the side of Observation Esports. So this fight, as much as it's being spread out pretty wide, I really do think that YG is also going to be looking to wrap around and choke out whatever space necessary. They're sending Marnet all the way up north for a 1 versus 1 as well, while Romeo deals with the situation directly at the center. And instantly he gets popped out. Kid now gets a little bit of upper hand, but it's still gonna be 2 versus 3, and now it's gonna be a fair fight. YG, they're slowly shredded out, but they will still get the chicken dinner in return to kick off their run here in week 2.
Honestly, when the goats hit the server, everyone just stops, and that is the amount of respect this team commands. Very quiet, less flashy in the early rounds, but very, very demanding. Commanding will be the right word toward the final few circles. Late to the area, but also a team that's very, very meticulous on how they move around it. I am loving the calls coming in from this team, making sure that they do what they do best, which is the mid to long range fights. They tried to avoid as many CQCs as possible to avoid tunnel vision, and also because they were able to utilize the high ground on north side very well. A lot of teams that were fighting in the other quadrants of that area found themselves getting picked off one by one. Say Cloud, I think and Mernat especially, got a lot of pickoffs just by being the spectators and third parties from far, far away.
It's so insane to see 7 knockouts accomplished by SayCloud on top of the illims that both Mernat as well as SayCloud brings to the table. So I do think that he will end up as the MVP, or it could still be Mernat just by just slight addition of the damage being done. So this is just impeccable of a performance once again coming from YG, and for the fact of the matter that they did not even need to use the recall tower even once, and nobody has dropped out in the span of the early form of fight. So we will take a quick look at the highlights, and we'll be right back to elaborate further.